Window cleaners of Reddit, what are your stories you witnessed on the job? So I was on a 10-story, early in the morning, first drop of the day. Top floor, naked man, nothing but a teal eye mask on, not my thing. Next floor, naked woman in her kitchen, 80, looked like a puppet out of a Genesis video. Also not my thing. About an hour or two later, elsewhere on the building, an older woman offers me some cookies out a window. I see that the initial woman is kinda hiding in the shadows. She felt bad about flashing me and went to her friend's apartment to give me cookies. That was a weird day. Never saw anything I particularly wanted to though. I order pizza when I have no cash and it's never the horny college hunk, always the manager's middle-aged cousin, right out the slammer for dealing meth to high school kids. Maybe the middle-aged meth dealer was once the horny college hunk, but he ate too much pizza and ruined his body. Or maybe he did too much meth. One of the two. Either way, don't get high on your own supply. After all these years I still mentally beat myself for being so stupid. I ordered some pizza from Domino's and ended up in a conversation with her for a bit, more than just the order. For some reason the same person decided to deliver the pizza herself. Once she realized I wasn't ugly, started chatting me up since it was nearly closing time last order of the night. She was so cute and so friendly, but I have this curse of being oblivious to being flirted with or hit on. Lol, she even asked me what I was doing the rest of the evening. I'm such an idiot. Lol, she was never my delivery person again. Frown. Favorite story from the time, I'm at this bank. I'm always doing the outside first then inside. Everyone usually pay us no attention, but when they notice we are washing the outside window they shut down Facebook or Amazon and open a blank spreadsheet. Not even a project, just a blank spreadsheet. Anyway, usually when I cast a shadow or bang my wool brush against a window they look around and do the I was working I swear dance, but I do this to the bank manager's window and Hess completely unfazed. I think oh maybe Hess actually doing work and thus unafraid. But then my squeegee comes around and I see what Hess locked into. Group clown midget porn. I now think oh please don't notice me now. Then it happens. My squeegee jumps across the window and the manager looses it. He jumps up and hit both knees on the desk. He can't decide between nursing his legs or turning off the porn, so left-handed Hess trying to turn it off. Minimizes and carries more clown porn. He looks back at me and tries to cover his face. He mashes the keyboard and now I can hear it through window. He dives and pulls the cord and he just lays there. I move away continuing my work as I realize, I gotta go in there. I do the entire rest of the bank before this office. I prepare for the worst, an entitled angry response or a super awkward run out of the room. But he looks up, smiles, asks what he can do for me today, just here to get the windows, thanks me, looks at his watch and says has got a meeting and leaves. It was crazy casual, and I get the dude had his kink and clearly comfortable with it. But the casualness was completely unnerving after watching a dude dive headfirst into his desk. Edit, I should have known my kinky banker experience would be the post that blows up. Thanks for the flair and I'm sorry about the formatting. Mobile user found. Hopefully I made it easier to read. I used to clean wineries and winery businesses in California, and this lady had her desk stationed with her back to the window. She was playing World of Warcraft at work. It was pretty dope. I've also just had people stare at my ass. Never understood why people do this at work or watch porn since so many businesses have tracking software. One US Gov agency had gigabytes of porn on his computer and disks in his desk. So much so they couldn't figure out when he did his job. My cousin's husband was visiting swinger websites in the 911 dispatch computer, very small county, and saving it in a file on the computer. Sheriff himself found it. I had an internship at a local agency and their 911 dispatch team was currently under an internal investigation because they had been watching inappropriate videos during the night shift. Can't remember what all of them were, but it was mostly on YouTube. One specifically was the grapefruit video, if you know, you know. That probably has some use as a dispatcher. Imagine you get a call and all you hear is schwach 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 schwach. You know she's burning fat. I've told this story before but here it goes. I work on a small team of only women. We usually only have like 3 people in the office on the weekends and we're on the 3rd floor. My colleague decided to pump breast milk in her cubicle and just told us not to come over until she gave the okay. Not unusual. Right as she started pumping completely uncovered, a random window cleaner descended from above and she let out a shriek. I don't think he even noticed right away, but then we watched him quickly try to scurry away from the window. He never came back to clean those windows, lol. Not much of a story, but you see a lot of peen. Mostly on accident but also plenty of exhibitionists out there. I do lots of work in a largely gay town, Seriously, more gay couples than straight. They love seeing us young working guys come do their windows, and I don't blame them. Some often will schedule us nearly weekly. I really don't mind it as a straight man, I find it quite flattering really. Some creepos like to show off their stuff though, and along with that I've seen plenty of full frontal nude dude art hanging on walls and whatnot. I feel like as a non-window cleaner I apparently have a spicier story than most of the window cleaners lol. My family was in NYC on vacation back in like 2007 and we stayed on a high floor in a hotel that had excellent views of the city and the buildings around it. I had a pair of those cheap-ass pocket binoculars and was using them to gaze around. I was truly not trying to peep at all, but on a casual pass I spotted what was very clearly a naked photoshoot going on in another building. I saw two guys both naked as the day they were born posing in front of one of the windows and was so startled I dropped the binoculars like in a movie. Long story short, my skeptical but very curious family took turns verifying my claim and then we all laughed really hard. Never thought I'd actually see something like that. It was like that episode from Friends. I worked mostly residential. Homes up to 3 stories or so, and small commercial places. I was doing the insides in a home working my way around and when I got to the master bathroom, the bathroom door was closed. Now, the homeowners were well aware that we were there and I lightly knocked on the door before going in. Hearing no response, I opened the door. And there he was in all his glory. 70-ish-year-old man, naked as the day he was born except for having his head covered by his towel. He didn't hear my knock but he heard the door open and said something like "Is that you, honey?" Thinking his wife had walked in. I was shocked and mumbled something like "Oh sorry" and quickly backed out. Ordinarily I worked from the door and went clockwise around the house but I went straight back to the front door to work counterclockwise back to the master, giving him some time to get decent. I told the wife that I had accidentally walked in on her husband as he was getting out of the shower and she was fucking tickled. She told me he's deaf as a stump and probably had no idea, but she hoped I'd enjoyed my thrill for the day. Dang it, I thought of another one. I was finishing for the day at a house on the outskirts of my city. I'm tired, sweaty, and ready to go home. I drive all the way to the other side of the city and then some. Office calls me asking if I'll take a last-minute cleaning, no more than 15 panes, and I can bid it at whatever I want due to an emergency cleaning. Usually commercial gets priced much lower than residential, but I was salty and decided on somewhere closer to residential. I was in the area, had my setup, so whatever. Turns out it was a small honey bottling operation. On the day that they did their deep cleaning, which involved rolling up 2 huge bay doors and using hot water to hose down the plant. As you might expect, honeybees were swarming. I pulled up and talked to the guy in charge and he was expecting a celebrity visit the next day, so that's why a good window wash was called for. They have big windows between receiving and bottling to watch the process. They're lucky that not only am I not allergic to bees, I'm not all that scared of them. All he asked was that I take care to try not to step on the bees on the floor. We get it from them. It's only fair they get a little back when they can. So many bees. I definitely killed a few by stepping on them, but it was unavoidable. I don't know how they managed to get them back out. The owner/manager tipped me for the last-minute job and also let me take a bottle of honey home with me. Oh, another time I was washing interiors with a co-worker and the wife had a very racy boudoir shoot in one of those multiple photo frames on the bedroom wall. Can't lie, she looked hot as hell. But my coworker was much more shy about talking to her after seeing her mostly nude, so I took care of the invoice at the end of the job. Real nice lady. If she ever considered that we had seen those photos, she didn't show a care in the world about it. Basically all the stories. You've got the first story, you do that one from the ground with a long pole. You've got all kinds of stuff on those windows, fingerprints, bird poop, pollen. Second story, that's a toss-up. You can either rig up the scaffolding or use a ladder. Third story and up, that's where the action is. You don't have fingerprints, except in rare instances, but you get a lot of bird stuff up there, and once somebody shot a tomato out of a slingshot and hit the 10th story. That was some kind of day, I tell ya. Yeah, I've seen it all. Not a window cleaner, but I woke up one day with serious morning wood. Wife was sleeping, so I decided to take care of it myself. One hand on my penis on the laptop trackpad, I notice a shadow fall on my through the window. I look out the window and lock eyes with the maintenance guy doing some work on the outside of the building as he was being pulled up to the top floor. That was their first week. I saw that guy every day for the next 3 weeks while they finished work. I used to work during my high school years for my uncle's company off hours as window cleaner. One late afternoon when most employees of that office building already left, I saw a rather escalating fist fight between two employees and a rather helpless woman trying to intervene a broomstick. One of those unreal moments of disbelief and relief to be the window cleaner on the other side. When I was around 8 years old, me and my mom were in a waiting room to see a specialist because I needed tubes in my ears. This doctor's office was in a taller building, I would say at least 8 to 10 floors. I remember vividly going to grab a kid's storybook from a little table beside a window. When I was reaching for the book, I saw a man fall past the window that I was right beside. He died instantly. The doctor took us out of the building through the parking garage so that we didn't have to go by the scene. Edit. Important information. He was a window cleaner. I remember seeing him clean the windows from inside the building before he fell and thinking it was pretty neat because I'd never seen that before. I do mainly high-rise, so rope access, so there are a lot of people who forget to close their curtains and blinds. Plenty of naked people, mainly old though. An elderly person on the toilet, that was probably my most awkward. A few people offering me coffee, tea, soft drink, alcohol. Scaring the life out of people who had no idea we were coming. The worst experience I've had is probably the first time we arrived at a new building and had no idea how to get up onto the roof. The elevator went straight into the penthouse apartment. So my colleague and I called out but got no response. So we called again, this time louder. Nothing. So we start casually wandering around this apartment looking for stairs, or a hatch. Anything. After a few minutes we hear the most rage-induced shouting and a sleepy-looking man in his underwear comes bounding out his room and chased us out. He had no idea who we were, and why we were in his apartment. We apologized profusely and after he calmed down he was pretty embarrassed. No one told him we were coming, so it's understandable he got so upset by being woken up like that. Back when I worked at a small restaurant, I would be tasked with general cleaning. It sucked. It was located less than a mile from the border. One day while some BPs were eating suddenly they storm out of the restaurant with chatter over the radio. Apparently a group of immigrants crossed over the river and made a run for the US. Funny thing is that one of the BPs was left behind in the restroom that time. He packed up all the food and waited for his partners to come for him. I was once worked at the checkouts in my local supermarket and one day a man came with completely no arms and when time came to pay he asked to pay by card. I said sure and asked if he needed me to move the card reader lower for ease of access. He told me no need and proceeded to raise his foot up to in front of his face. He then placed his card into the card reader and then enter his PIN using his toes with ease. Never seen anything like that whilst working in a store, but clearly he wasn't gonna let something like no arms hold him back. There's a motivational speaker named Alvin Law who was born without arms. He came to my high school sometime around 99 to 00. The school had a golf cart which he drove into the gym and right up to the dais using his feet, and not slowly either. Here I am 2 decades later and I still remember the guy's name.